Spider-Man has had an interesting history over the past 2 decades with enough reboots that we've almost kind of lost count. We pretty much ran the gamut from a bad to questionable and all the way up to a good Spider-Man movie. The Sam Raimi movies haven't really aged that well, being too silly and kitschy. Spider-Man 2 was the best of that series, but mostly because I delved more into Spider-Man's psyche, but still not really saying much on how good it was. The Amazing Spider-Man I thought was good overall. Spider-Man Homecoming was a great movie with great action, humor, and one of the best on-screen portrayals of our hero. Thus, we come to Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse, which probably ranks as one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time. I love the cross-dimensional gimmick. It kept things fresh, unexpected, and got some pretty good tension as basically we're talking about the collapse and compression of our main Spider-Man's world. Speaking of which, we had an excellent protagonist in Miles Morales. He's a good, smart kid, but kind of a slacker who right away is taken out of his comfort zone. In his home neighborhood, he's got tons of friends and is basically the most popular kid in the area. Now he's at a prep school where he's an outcast, stressed about school, and basically acts awkward around everyone, including Gwen Stacy, and has a strained relationship with his father, who happens to be a policeman who also hates Spider-Man's vigilantism. So right off the bat, we have a relatable protagonist, being the small fish in the big pond. Whether it be school or work, we've all been in that situation of the entire world against us. One of the other strengths of this movie is how self-aware it is. We've all seen the spider bite and Uncle Ben die enough times that it really has no tension by now. And literally the entire opening is mocking these redundant plot elements, referencing the original Sam Raimi movies, especially mocking movie 3 and emo dancing Peter, which was hilarious. In the movie, the Spider-Man from the various dimensions acknowledge these and other tropes commonplace within this character's universe, like downplaying the stereotypical villain talk, and the key to stopping the Kingpin's collider machine might as well have been named plot device. The writing is very smart overall work and poke fun at the hero and its universe, yet still leave room for some powerful emotional scenes. I also love the different incarnations of Spider-Man. They all have unique personalities and fighting methods, and I especially love the meshing of their different art styles. Noir Spider-Man has shading, Spider-Ham is drawn like a 2D Looney Tunes character, and my favorite is Penny Parker with her anime style, who has a robot companion and basically operates like Diva from Overwatch, and it's so much fun watching their various styles and animations fighting, clashing. It's just beautiful. Speaking of the animation, it's got a great comic book feel to it, and it can get pretty trippy at times. The movements are dynamic and the backgrounds are fleshed out. The whole movie just looks gorgeous, especially the final climactic battle, which is just pure eye candy. As for the villain, his design is just so ridiculous yet intimidating at the same time. With his big old square body and tiny head, he looks like Gru from Despicable Me if he was on steroids. And I like how they didn't make him an evil villain just for the sake of being evil, and they actually mustered a somewhat sympathetic backstory. Yeah, he's still a bad guy, but he's got an understandable motivation, making him much more complex than just your one-dimensional bad guy of the week. He wants his family back, bringing all these dimensions together, even if it's not his real one, which is really kind of depressing. The bond and mentorship with Miles and Peter B. Parker was so much fun. He's a fat slob who's lost Mary J. and lives in a crappy apartment, and basically his life has fallen apart, making him less than ideal trainer for the kid. Yet feels more grounded than Peter Parker from Miles' universe, as he has less flaws and is pretty much your prototypical perfect-ish Spider-Man. A problem I had, again, going back to the Sam Raimi movies, where I felt that Peter got a hold of his powers a little too quickly. But Miles here, he struggles with his abilities pretty much all the way up until the third act, which feels much more realistic in terms of the hero's journey. And in the end, I love how the initial dichotomy between the two changes as Miles goes from inexperienced and lost to discovering and accepting his identity, which inspires Peter B. Parker, the slob, to refine himself and get his life back together with Mary Jane. Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse is not only one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time, but one of the best animated movies of the year. The universe and concept was refreshing from your typical Spider-Man plot, lots of great humor, and quite simply a fun experience. Alright, that's it for today, guys. Until next time, MC out!